Do you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal.
Hello, welcome inside. It is another edition of the Bmore Baseball Podcast. I'm Jerry Coleman. He's the 14-year veteran, the former Oriole, the Orioles Hall of Famer. He's Mike Bordick. A reminder, we're up on X with brand new content on our podcast page, on X, on Instagram, on Facebook. Find us at the Bmore Ball Pod. Again, at the Bmore Ball Pod. And on YouTube, Bmore Ball Pod. Bmore Ball Pod is where you can follow us on YouTube. And when you do that and show us proof you've subscribed, like many have, you qualify for a free $50 Lido Pizza gift card. Today, episode number 10, Bordy, will be joined by the new Orioles Chief Marketing Officer. His name is Mark Fine. And speaking of new, we'll talk about the new Japanese import and how he has fared so well and adapted to baseball here in the United States. Plus, we'll discuss what links some teams go to appease a superstar player. And we'll get a checkup from the doc. Dr. Michael Jacobs joins us and has plenty to say about the rash of shoulder injuries around the big leagues. But let's bring in our featured guest. He's sponsored by Pappas Seafood. From crab cakes to seafood classics, they will deliver straight to your door. 4 locations in the Baltimore area, plus nationwide shipping. Order today at pappascrabcakes.com. Mark Fine, thanks so much for being a part of this podcast. We'll get into your vast resume shortly, but tell the folks, first of all, about how you became part of the Orioles and the new Chief Marketing Officer and what led to it all.
I'm honored to be the featured guest, Jerry. And Mike, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. No, I've been with the Orioles now just about 2.5 months, and I watched from afar throughout my career. I had interned here back in '99 and 2000, worked at the Frederick Keys after graduation of college, and I've been in a lot of different places with some different sports. But I had always watched the Orioles from afar, both from a baseball standpoint and a business standpoint. And I saw the changes that occurred last year with the change in ownership and David Rubenstein and Mike Arrighetti becoming the owners of the team, and then bringing in Katie Griggs in August, and then seeing some transactions towards the offseason, and Katie wanting to bring in a full executive team, which included a chief marketing officer. And I noticed that I had a few people actually send that to me. I worked with a recruiting agency that Katie had hired and the organization had hired. And it was a few months long process, and it had some intense points. It had some quiet times. And ultimately it was a dream come true, which is to be here working for the Orioles in marketing.
No, absolutely. Yeah, pretty impressive, right? Coming over here, but you left the PBR. I mean, what's going on, man? We had teams coming in and everything, and it all of a sudden became a highlighted sport. I mean, I'm glad you're back in Baltimore, man. Welcome home, by the way.
Thanks, Mike.
But holy cow, they must have done a lot of prompting to pull you away from that scene.
Well, it's funny that you know so much, and Big Ben knows a lot about PBR as well, being down in Louisiana. But professional bull riders, Mike, it's a sport that is way on the rise. It's an emerging sports category. It is certainly something that was not just in the middle of the country any longer. It's hitting the coasts. Earlier in January, it sold out 3 events at Madison Square Garden, and you're seeing that brand I actually worked for PBR out of UFC and their corporate offices in Las Vegas, which is a beautiful campus. But UFC, WWE, and PBR are now all owned by a group called TKO. So, it was a fun sport, really fun sport to market. And Western sports culture is emerging, and you're seeing Google searches for country music and for Western apparel, Western fashion, just, be a times 1,000. You see Beyonce performing on Christmas Day at the Ravens-Texans game, and she's a country artist. So it was a lot of fun to be their CMO for sure.
I did want to ask about the warehouse, going back to Katie Griggs, because the Orioles finally have a team president. I was trying to rack my brain for who the last team president was. It was either Joe Foss or Larry Lucchino. What went into the decision-making process to bring back that title? Do you know?
I can't say I wasn't here when it was done, but I would imagine I was here when Joe Foss was here as an intern, but I don't believe he was a team president. So I think that it would even go back to previous ownership before the Angelos family. I think it's a matter of just having somebody, and Katie is the president of business operations. Mike Elias oversees all of baseball and baseball operations. But I think it's a matter of having somebody who can truly round up the team. You're seeing that at most professional sports teams these days, that you have a team president, you have somebody who aligns the business division. And you will see at some teams where the business and baseball division are somewhat separate and they don't really work together. That's not the case here. We work really well with the baseball operations group, and we're aligned in what we do. And I know that for Katie, that was something that was really important to her when she came here.
There's a lot of exciting things happening in the stadium, at least from what we've heard. I know they brought the wall back in, and now there's like a little home run court out there.
Yeah.
But how about is there going to be a new sound system? A lot of new stuff coming out of the stadium.
Yeah, it's really great. And I think that the organization has really worked to be transparent with fans about what's coming up. And Katie got here towards the end of the 24 season, and there were things that weren't necessarily going to be ready in terms of renovations until 2026. And we were transparent about that. And but one thing that we did need badly was a sound system. Audio was really poor from what I understand. It had been a few years since I had been here, but audio was really poor in the ballpark. So we got a temporary sound system for 2025. And then in 26, you're just going to see all of the bells and whistles in terms of a scoreboard, the LED ring across the club level. It's going to be an enhanced audio system. So it's going to be noticeable to our fans.
I did want to ask you, and I've vented about this privately and publicly, the attraction of the giveaways, because it really bothers me that today's fan has to be lured to watch good baseball by a bobblehead or a T-shirt or a jersey, and it's not just enough to come out and watch the product. I just shake my head at that, Mark, but it leads to sellouts and more fans at games, and I guess this is the new wave, which I haven't adjusted to.
Well, Jerry, it doesn't bother me as much because giveaways to me are really part of the baseball culture. And I actually, I worked at the Mets from the 13 through the 18 seasons, and then I went on to work for the Brooklyn Nets. And you don't see as much of that in the NBA culture, and I worked to kind of bring a little bit to that because I saw how effective it was with baseball. To me, Jerry, it's about a value add to your experience. And if this is a way where teams like ourselves and others are able to bring in a newer audience, whether it be a collaboration with a Marvel Entertainment like you're seeing us do with Cal and the Iron Man bobble, then you do that. It's an opportunity for us to get fans to the ballpark because we know when they're here, they're going to have a great time. So I'm not as worried about that maybe as you are.
When you have those great giveaways, though, just a suggestion as a fan now, when you make Oriole hockey shirt night, you might want to make 40,000 of them because there are a lot of angry fans not getting their hands on that.
Yeah, we certainly we want to try and be as transparent as possible about communicating our gate times. We know that fans are going to have to come here a little bit earlier, and that's something that, in our first year here, we'll look at quantities and whatnot as we move forward. Definitely I know we're kicking around some thoughts and ideas and concepts, for 26 and beyond in terms of how we handle our promotional calendar.
Wanted to ask you, Mark, about the advent of digital tickets and how that's impacted the fan experience. I know a few weeks back when Alexander Ovechkin set the all-time goal record on Long Island, the Islanders decided to charge their fans $45 to have those tickets printed out. How do you guys approach such situations? Like, I remember when Jackson Holliday played his first game or hit his first Grand Slam, people wanted a copy of that ticket. And going forward, they're going to be momentous occasions as well. How do you address it?
Yeah, we'll have to look at that on a case-by-case basis because we are all digital right now. And that happened, if I understand, during COVID, that it just made life a lot easier. And it's something that not just MLB, but most teams wanted to move towards that. So we are all digital at this point. We're cashless here in the ballpark. It's just, it makes our servicing easier on the fan, and more expedient, more efficient for the fan. There are those case-by-case scenarios. And in a place where there's a momentous occasion that we know in advance, I think we would take the steps for those folks who do want to print out and save that memento. We would work with Major League Baseball in order to do that. But for the most part, most of the days, you don't have those 21-31s that come up where you're going to be, or what you saw with Alex Ovechkin, where your fans are going to want to keep that ticket. They can keep their ticket, but it's in a digital fashion as opposed to a physical fashion.
You've had obviously great success. You kind of followed me around a little bit. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but you and I were together. You were
I know you're a Mets guy. You know you're a Mets.
Yeah, and then I went up to the Mets, right? So I just missed you up there.
I didn't hit you at PBR though, Mike. I didn't see you on any Bulls.
No, I know. I'm sorry I didn't holler at you there, but that experience with the Mets must have been pretty special. And I guess you kind of liken it to where you are right now with the Orioles. Is that true? Do you think?
It is, and I remember you on the 2000 team in New York, Mike.
You're the guy that remembers. You're the guy.
Yeah, and that was a special team, really special team. And for me, going to the Mets is maybe you felt, Mike, from coming here around the same time. I was here in 99, 2000. You were at the Mets around that time. I worked for the Mets from 13 through 18. And I think what really was wonderful about the Mets was just how integrated they were into pop culture. The Mets, the passion of that fan base, which I believe we have here as well, is certainly incredible. And that exists here in Baltimore too. I think the Mets in pop culture lore with Jerry Seinfeld and Chris Rock and, being on The Sopranos, it was a lot of fun to be able to do that. We were able to use our ballpark for episodes of The Bachelorette, for Sharknado 2. It was a lot of fun doing that. And the team at the time, I came there and it was the 5th and 6th consecutive losing season in a row in 13 and 14. And we put some things into place from a marketing standpoint that when the team really started to bounce back, which they did in 15, and they made the World Series that year against the Royals, lost 4-1 in the series, is that the business and the baseball operations were on the same page, and we were able to take advantage and get full houses there. And that's something that, I know we were really proud of at the time, is to bring people back in. You're seeing that right now at the Mets, that they've had a tremendous April in terms of fans coming out to the ballpark. And look, we're trying to do that here in Baltimore. I can look under the hood. We're trying to really understand our brand. And dig deeper into the foundational levels of our brand and bring that forth as we, approach the 26 season. But obviously we're focused here on 25 right now, and hopefully the team can start playing a little bit better. And, fans, regardless of record, are interested in coming to the ballpark because they're going to have a great experience.
Now, Mark, I don't know if it coincided with your arrival, but this new streaming app has finally come to fruition and fans can utilize it. They've been waiting and clamoring for it for quite some time, as you're well aware. How did it get done? I mean, was it because you arrived, or was it just something that's been in the works for a while?
Well, I think it is. I mean, the credit goes to our ownership group and to Katie, who, among other things, have really listened to the fans. I mean, that is a pain point. We were one of the last teams. I think it's just Houston at this point. It was the last team. Us and the Nationals were right there in 28 and 29 in terms of adopting this. And this is something that our fans very much cared about. And it's something that, kudos to Katie and the ownership team that they took action on. So no, I have nothing to do with it other than making sure that we market it appropriately and make sure fans know that it's an option. And it's certainly a great option to have, since many of us at this point have cut the cord.
I have one final question for you, Mark.
Sure.
So I just got done watching the NFL draft, and oh my gosh, what an overwhelming experience that is. I'm telling you, even through the final round, it's like, mesmerizing. Can MLB ever come close to that type of hoopla for their draft?
Well, it's funny. So, Mike, last year when I was at PBR owns Cowtown Coliseum. So that's where the draft was last year. Okay. And I was working the draft as a PBR employee at Cowtown Coliseum. There's only a couple. The drafts in general it was the NFL draft that was popular for a long time. The NBA was probably on that level as well. And now you've seen MLB and NHL, even the W, be able to take it up a notch. And perhaps at that level, that's certainly aspirational for sure. It is such a part of their season. And I think MLB has done the right thing by moving the draft. And I think that was either done last year or the year prior to the All-Star City, just to give it more exposure than it had prior, which was in June, kind of a random day, no real hoopla around it. Now, it being part of an all-star city, and this year that's going to be Atlanta, I think it gives it more coverage that it deserves.
Yeah. Listen, we can glamorize and relive the golden days of the PBR and working with Jay Horwitz at the Mets. And Jay, of course, the only PR director to ever kick me out of a Major League Baseball clubhouse, but we'll save that for another podcast.
That's all right. I can see that. I can see it happening. I can visualize it.
It was unnecessary. But people may not know the most impressive part of your resume for me is your work with the Harlem Globetrotters.
Let's go.
Harlem Globetrotters. When I worked at a different radio station many moons ago, you brought the legendary Curly Neal into studio. You got to hang out with Curly and these icons. I want to know, what was that like? And did you ever see him lose a basketball game, Mark?
My dad joke is they never lost a basketball game while I worked there. So I was batting 1,000 there, which was awesome. But no, Curly Neal was a pretty awesome guy. He passed away in either 2020, 2021. He was working with a team at the time when you and I, Jerry, were in contact back. Probably I was working for the Globetrotters 08 through 12. And he was an ambassador, and he would always wear his getup, and he had Curly in cursive on his sleeve there, and people would come up to him all the time. I mean, he needed to do that. He needed to wear his getup. But he absolutely he loved the attention. He loved being recognized, and he was a household name. I mean, he and Meadowlark Lemon were household names back in the 70s and 80s. And the Globetrotters, again, as a marketer, my favorite demographic to market to is families, because families are looking for a wholesome experience. That's certainly the case here at Camden Yards. People are looking for wholesome experiences, and the Globetrotters was just a really cool brand, and continues to be. And you see a little bit of that, more than a little bit of that, in the Savannah Bananas. Who we're going to have here.
They're the baseball version.
They're the baseball version, and some would say that they even have eclipsed. It's incredible. Kudos to them, what they've done, and we're going to host them here August 1st and 2nd at Camden Yards. Kudos to them for being very fan first, and that's a motto that certainly I know that we strive for as well. We want to be as fan friendly and accommodating as possible, and that's something that both the Globetrotters and the Bananas brand, that's part of their ethos.
What will it be like with the Bananas in town? In other words, they'll play that team they always play. The Orioles will be out of town. And do we have any idea about ticket sales? Because they're selling out NFL stadiums.
Yeah. I know that we're giving our Birdland members an opportunity to sign up for the pre-sale. I mean, tickets are, like you saw at Clemson earlier this weekend. They sold out an 80,000 seat football stadium. They're done with baseball. Not done, but they're not only going to be playing baseball ballparks, they're going to be playing football stadiums. So it should be, a wonderful experience here. And we're going to try and work with the Bananas to incorporate some Orioles things into the show itself, into the event itself. But the Orioles, we're on the road those days.
That's awesome. Can't wait for that. And really appreciate you taking the time. We know.
Thank you for having me,
Mark. Thanks.
Things are happening in the warehouse, folks. Chief Marketing Officer from the Baltimore Orioles, Mark Fine. Again, appreciate your time.
Thank
Thanks,
you, guys.
Mark.
Appreciate it.
More of the Bmore Baseball Podcast coming right up. At Pappas Restaurants, we've been serving up Maryland's best crab cakes for over 5 decades, and now we make it easier than ever to get your favorites. With 4 restaurants and sports bar locations across Harford County, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County, you can stop in for fresh seafood, ice-cold drinks, and wall-to-wall TVs. But if you can't make it in, don't worry. We'll bring Pappas to you. Our new state-of-the-art shipping and commissary location on Bel Air Road in Nottingham means you can pick up fresh-made meals or have our famous crab cakes and seafood shipped anywhere in the country. Dine in, pick up, or ship nationwide. However you Pappas, we've got you covered. Order now at pappascrabcakes.com.
I'm retired now, but I was an Orioles home run. Grand slam, actually. Took a sweet ride right into the flag court, and it was awesome. Could be awesome for you, too. If you play Home Run Riches from the Maryland Lottery, you could win instantly or be a contestant of the game and win $500 for being selected, $500 for every Orioles home run, and $5,000 for every Grand Slam. Sounds like a ball if you ask me. Enter all season at mdlottery.com.
The Bmore Baseball Podcast welcomes Relief Shop. Shop Maryland's largest adult use and medical cannabis menu located at 1114 Cathedral Street in Baltimore, with medical delivery available throughout Maryland 7 days a week, only at Relief Shop. It's saving season at Lido Pizza. 99-cent refreshing iced teas for spring and summer, or $6 calzones every Tuesday. There are tons of new deals and rewards for everyone, exclusively at LidoPizza.com or on the Lido Pizza app. Lido Pizza, a local legend since 1955, proud partner of the Baltimore Orioles. Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time. And now, back to the Bmore Baseball Podcast.
All right, Bordy, let's move on to our For the Birds portion, sponsored, of course, by the Maryland Lottery. Playing the Maryland Lottery responsibly means knowing what's true and what's not about your favorite games. Learn the facts and myths at mdlottery.com, and please play responsibly. You know, I'm seeing a lot of comments from fans online, Bordick, about the body language of the Orioles, that something is detectable maybe when a team isn't winning. Guys aren't hustling out to their positions. They're grabbing their equipment once the game is over and moping their way towards the locker room. They don't seem engaged. These are the comments I'm seeing, of course, in the cesspool that is social media. But something has some validity to it. What are you seeing?
Well, there's no doubt, man. If you show some weakness, if you show you're sulking and disappointed that the game's got you down, the opponent in the other dugout is licking their lips. They sense the blood in the water. And then when they see a guy put their head down, whether it be a pitcher or a position player after making an error or not coming through with a clutch hit at the right time, they sense that they have you. And I think the start of, especially, against that Tigers series, they were down from the get-go. Their body language was terrible, and it's getting worse. And I worry that this young team is acting like a young team right now. So they have to find a way to get themselves out of it. You hope a veteran guy steps up and says, listen, you got to be a pro, man. I mean, you're going to have 450 more at-bats this year. You better figure something out and keep going, being a pro about it.
Well, who is that guy? Because it doesn't seem like Tyler O'Neill wants to take a hold of the reins. Ryan Mountcastle and Cedric Mullins have been there for a while. They don't seem like they're too vocal. Is there a guy?
Well, I personally feel it's Adley Rutschman. I mean, he single-handedly changed the whole look of this organization when he came to the big leagues. It was just picking him 1-1, and everybody was excited. Adley Rutschman's going to be the foundation. The day he showed up in the big leagues, the organization changed, and all for the good. And all the young guys that he came up with, they all surrounded him, and they made this team great. And they had a couple nice years, really nice years. Well, they got to look to him again. He's got to be the guy to step in front of the camera. He's got to be that leader. And I know a lot of guys don't like that, being vocal and in front of the camera all the time, but this team needs it.
Is he that type of guy, though?
He's not that type of guy. Well, who's it going to be then? Are we just going to let him flounder in the water? Yeah. He was that guy when he got called up. when he made the impression in the big leagues and when he gave every player a hug coming off the mound and everything. Oh, that's too rah-rah. That's not leader. Well, that's just what the doctor ordered. Carry that over and give your teammates a hug too about everything. That's all it takes. Be that Derek Jeter guy on the top step. Let him see it. And at the end of the game, be the face of the franchise. That's why you were drafted 1-1. That's my opinion. And somebody's got to do it. If he doesn't, then okay, let's have somebody else do it. But it has to happen from within. It's not going to happen with Brandon Hyde. It's not going to happen with Mike Elias coming down. It's not going to happen with Rubenstein coming in the clubhouse. It's happening as a unit. A baseball team has to come together and figure this stuff out.
I'm glad you clarified that. Now, one guy who's not going to likely speak up is Tomoyuki Sagano, because he doesn't speak a whole lot of English. I don't know how well that would translate unless his translator is there yelling at the people in Japanese. But let's talk about the adjustment he has made to the big leagues after a long, distinguished career over in Japan with the Yomiuri Giants. This guy doesn't seem to strike out a lot of guys, but he is durable. He is an innings eater, no doubt about that.
Boy, he is right now. And what an eye-opening pitcher, right? I think there were a lot of question marks. He had great success over in Japan, but how's he going to hold up over here? He's not these young guns coming from Japan that are throwing 98 miles an hour. No, he's a finesse pitcher. Throws low 90s, got 4-pitch mix, and he works both sides of the plate, top to bottom. This is what major league pitching used to be about. The 98-mile-an-hour guy was a rare dude, and hopefully he could harness the command of the fastball because fastball command was paramount. You wouldn't pitch in the big leagues if you couldn't command your fastball because every major league pitcher can hit a fastball mistake on the middle of the plate. Sagano's showing that you can work the edges. You can change your pitch speeds. You can change location and sequencing. That's what pitching is all about. I've enjoyed his last 2 outings. I hope he can keep it up because the challenge now is the league will adapt. Can he continue to make adjustments as well?
More of the Bmore Baseball Podcast coming right up.
What's Up, Doc is sponsored by the Baltimore Chamber Orchestra. Baltimore's second orchestra finishes its season with Mother's Day Mozart and Friends, featuring concertmaster Audrey Wright and guest conductor Norman Wynn on Sunday, May 11th at 3 p.m. in Goucher College's Krauschar Auditorium. Visit thebco.org to buy tickets and learn more. That's thebco.org for Mother's Day Mozart and Friends on Sunday, May 11th.
Take a swing at a healthier mouth and a better-looking smile with my dental team at Catonsville Dental Care. Catonsville Dental Care is a winning team of caring dental professionals who treat you like family. You will love their clean, friendly office, where your comfort and care are their top priorities. Catonsville Dental Care has more than 2,000 5-star Google reviews and received many awards, such as Top Dentist and Top Workplace. Catonsville Dental Care accepts most insurances and offers convenient hours, before or after work, and some Saturdays, too. Mention the Jerry Special for your $149 new patient visit or receive $500 off your Invisalign treatment. So get off the bench. Call Catonsville Dental Care today. Everyone knows Greenmount Station in Hampstead, but did you know that at Greenmount Station you can bet 7 days a week just like you're at the track? With in-person teller windows and state-of-the-art touchscreen kiosks. And with Greenmount Station's brand new Bet Park Sportsbook, you can bet on all other sports as well, wherever you are in Maryland. Spreads, money lines, live bets, props, parlays, and teasers. The Bet Parks Maryland mobile app is now live for Apple and Android devices, so you'll never miss your next big score. Just search for BetParks MD in the Apple App Store or on Google Play. 21 and over only. Please play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. At Heller Coates, we ensure peace of mind. Our mission, to educate, design, and protect, ensuring that you get the right insurance at the right price. Whether it's home and auto, life, disability, long-term care, or employee benefits, our deep understanding of personal and business life cycles allows us to tailor solutions just for you. We specialize in strategic insurance planning for those who value protection. Ready to take the next step? Get in touch for no obligation 360 policy review at insurance@hellercoates.com. They say it all comes back to your roots, right? At Grassroots, high-quality cannabis is in their nature. From soil to soul, their passion for cannabis and community inspires everything they do. Try your favorite strains from their cultivar library of top-shelf flower, pre-rolls, and concentrates. Whether you're cheering from the stands or chanting for the O's at home, their crafted flower helps you curate the perfect game day. Ask for Grassroots Cannabis at your favorite dispensary in Maryland.
And we move forward here in the podcast to Baltimore and beyond, brought to us by Relief Shop, Baltimore's best adult use and medical cannabis dispensary with 700 plus unique menu items and home delivery always available for medical patients only via Relief Shop. So, Bordy, 23-year-old Dodgers phenom, Roki Sasaki. He got a big-time contract for the Dodgers, and that just wasn't enough, apparently. He asked for and got this special request. I don't think I've ever heard about this, but requesting your own toilet. And in this case, it's a Japanese toilet, also known, for those who aren't aware, it's called a bidet. And they got not one, but they installed 8 in the Dodgers clubhouse, including one in the manager's office, which must be nice, for allegedly over $100 million in renovations to lure this guy to come and play for the Dodgers. I mean, I don't know if everyone's going to be utilizing that many toilets. Your reaction to this story, and maybe you've heard of some special requests over the years that big league ball players, not named Mike Bordick, who have bestowed on major league clubs in order for that club to lure them via free agency.
Yeah, that's a pretty big ticket for a bidet. I hope they're gold plated or something like that, because
you're going to save a lot of paper. No toilet paper needed.
Right. I've never been privy to a bidet. I did get a lot of enemas when I was a kid, though, so there might be something to it.
Kind of the opposite.
That's terrible. Anyway, listen, there have been perks in the game, and back when I was playing, it was Nolan Ryan. Everybody's like, well, he doesn't make road trips. Everybody's like, wow, that's not right, but it's Nolan Ryan, greatest pitcher of all time. Other guys followed suit like that. Roger Clemens had one of those deals in his contract, and so did Kevin Brown, who had 12 flights for his family from Georgia to L.A. This isn't, a surprise. I think when especially they're trying to land big name pitchers, they do whatever they can. Look at Soto, got a couple boxes, right? I think home and road. That kind of stuff's commonplace, but you better be pretty darn good if you're going to get a perk like that.
Yeah, I remember the Kevin Brown request, and he got 12 free chartered flights for his family between Georgia, some town he lived in there, and out to Los Angeles when he signed with the Dodgers. As far as those road trips, Nolan Ryan set the standard for that, and then Rocket followed in suit. I guess, obviously, if they're not pitching, they didn't have to make the trip. How would other players view that, though?
Well, some take it personally. Like, let's go. Are you not part of the team or what? I always kind of took offense to that, but ultimately, when you cross the lines, are they going to compete? Listen, Roger Clemens ended up, I think, winning another Cy Young. He at least made a couple more all-star teams when he got all his perks. And I think some of the other guys obviously played up to it as well. It'd be nice, though, wouldn't it, to not make road trips, to not take that wear and tear on your body. But it's part of the game, and it might be a nice way to do it to save pitchers' arms, to be honest with you. I have another real interesting one. Raleigh Fingers back in the day, the old Oakland A with the curly mustache. He had it written into his contract that he would get $100 worth of mustache gel to keep it looking good all season long.
Well, who else needed that back then besides Raleigh?
Well, everybody on the A's, man, because they all had the mustaches and the beards and things.
They did have the stashes. No one had a stash like Raleigh Fingers, though.
No.
He was the kind. We bring in the good doctor. It's time for What's Up, Doc. What's Up, Doc is sponsored, of course, by the Baltimore Chamber Orchestra. Here, Baltimore's second orchestra perform at 3 p.m. coming up Sunday, May the 11th at Goucher College. Visit bco.org to buy tickets and learn a whole lot more. Now, Doc, we've talked about guys who seemingly are always on the formerly disabled list, now the injured list, and hit by the injury bug perpetually. We knew about Tyler O'Neill's injury history when the Orioles signed him, but here we are again. He's on the IL for now the 15th time in his career with neck inflammation, Doc. Now, in fairness, this is the first time he suffered a neck issue, but he has suffered issues to 12 different parts of his body in just 8 years during his career. So is this part of his DNA makeup?
I guess you'd have to say that's the case. It's just a philosophy issue. When we were with Mr. Angelos, who we've discussed before, he wouldn't go near anybody who had an injury history like that. He wanted people to play every day. And of course, we had such an unusual team where Junior and Brady and Palmeiro and Robbie and Bordick never missed a game. So I think he had a bit of a skewed approach here, but it's a philosophy. In this particular case, the front office people decided that none of these issues were season threatening. And I think they probably accepted the medical report, which probably said, which is what I would have said if they reviewed it with me, you can predict this guy will be on the IL 2 or 3 times this year with some sort of soft tissue strain. Whether it's fair or unfair, I think we tend to associate it with these athletes who are totally bulked up and really look like weightlifters. We have this general feeling they tend to be prone to muscle injuries, although I have never seen data to say that. But it's a philosophical issue, and Mike or you can chime in. It's obvious that that decision probably wasn't ideal, but they must have felt that was the best of the players they had left after Santander left. But to me, I always wanted to steer away from those guys because you really couldn't do much for them when they get muscle strains. It's always time. You can't inject them. The dose packs don't really work on those. So you're just left with the player who just can't help you for a period of time.
Yeah, I hope he can heal up. Sounds like Evel Knievel with all the injuries O'Neill's had. Hey, Doc, I want to go back to we have a oft-injured pitcher, Grayson Rodriguez, who's dealing with a shoulder issue right now. Eflin's got a shoulder issue, and it just seems like shoulders are starting to pop up. I don't know if you saw this, but Tyler Glasnow recently with the Dodgers, who just overcame his second Tommy John surgery, is now on the shelf with a shoulder injury. It seems like there are more. Now, I know for a fact there are more Tommy Johns, but are the shoulders riding right along with the Tommy Johns this year and in recent years?
Well, it's an interesting process. We see that in medicine also. One of the reasons you're seeing more of these is because the imaging is so sensitive now. We're picking up injuries earlier, and you're frequently scanning somebody for problem A, and the MRI is picking up problem B. And a lot of these players before the MRIs came around would be treated with a couple days off for rest and would throw through it. Some of them would be successful, some would not. As the case of our player, they're saying he has a mild lat strain, and they're saying that Eflin has a mild lat strain. So it's possible, particularly Eflin, who's a veteran player, could have in previous times only taken a short span off and come back and pitched effectively and possibly adjusted. But the scanning is so sensitive that happens. And as we discussed in Grayson's case, it's too early for me to label him as a injury-prone player. As I said, when we signed him, he was a slender high school kid who's put on 30, 40 pounds, changed his physique. Last year, he changed his pitching motion. And to me, all this goes back to changing his pitching motion. And I suspect now they're trying to figure out what to do with his pitching motion, whether they want to go back to plan A or plan B or plan C. And again, since he's such a high value player, they're being super cautious with him. And I remember we went through this a bit with DL Hall a couple of years ago, where I finally said, listen, the guy's got to go out and start playing. We can't just keep coddling him because his MRI doesn't look right, but he feels fine. So you really have to treat the player, not the MRI sometimes. So it's a combination of protecting the player having a certain disposition, and the scanning being so super sensitive that you're picking up things you just didn't pick up before. Just to make a quick analogy, when I was in medical school in the 70s, kidney cancer had almost 100% failure rate. Now it's incredibly low because it's picked up all the time. I have a patient I saved. He had a bad back. I got an MRI of his back, and it picked up an early kidney cancer. So he was able to be cured of his cancer because we picked it up spuriously when we were scanning his back. So I think the imaging has really changed the diagnosis rate for a lot of things because you pick them up so easily.
Hey, Doc, before you go, I had one follow-up to what you had to say about when you would make recommendations when you were the team doctor. How much did they follow along with those recommendations, or how much did they say, we'll just take that into consideration, Doc? Thank you.
Well, when Mr. Angelos was involved, they were afraid of me. And the player, you did great. If you look at our track record in the 90s and early 2000s, we had very few players like that because we didn't sign them in the first place. And we dealt with them that way. Today, when Gillick left, Gillick was very respectful of us. He would just come down and say, Doc, who can play? Or say, Richie and I. He would say to Richie, when can I have him? Today, we've had GM Sid Thrift would like to interfere and say, hey, come on, these guys can pitch. We had some managers, as I mentioned, the famous Phil Regan line, Doc, my arm hurt every time I went out there. That's one of my favorite lines. And so it depends. Now, with the front office in charge, Mike Elias is very sensitive to today's athletes, and he's very cautious. So he very much goes to the cautious side, in my opinion. But I've had other GMs who have pretty much ignored us. And I've had players we recommended not to sign who they just signed anyway when Mr. Angelos became left involved. But it really depends on your GM, and Mike's very cautious. And I assume our new owner is kind of leaving everything to Mike. So I think we take an ultra cautious approach, which is very great from a health point of view. But there definitely depends on your general manager and how his disposition is, or your manager. Like I say, if Phil Regan was your GM, he'd be a little more aggressive with these guys and say they're just not as tough as they used to be. So it's a varying thing. I'm sure Mike will have an opinion on that, don't you, Mike?
Yeah, I do have a little bit of an opinion on that, but yeah, there's a big difference between old school and new school philosophies. That's for sure.
No doubt about that. All right. Thank you, Dr. Michael Jacobs. Appreciate the input as always. Want to thank all our loyal sponsors out there, including Pappas Seafood, where we are coming for a live remote coming up next month. That would be in June, I should say. We're still in April, according to my calendar.
At Heller Coates, we ensure peace of mind. Our mission, to educate, design, and protect, ensuring that you get the right insurance at the right price. Whether it's home and auto, life, disability, long-term care, or employee benefits, our deep understanding of personal and business life cycles allows us to tailor solutions just for you. We specialize in strategic insurance planning for those who value protection. Ready to take the next step? Get in touch for a no-obligation 360 policy review at insurance@hellercoates.com. They say it all comes back to your roots, right? At Grassroots, high-quality cannabis is in their nature. From soil to soul, their passion for cannabis and community inspires everything they do. Try your favorite strains from their cultivar library of top-shelf flower, pre-rolls, and concentrates. Whether you're cheering from the stands or chanting for the O's at home, their crafted flower helps you curate the perfect game day. Ask for Grassroots Cannabis at your favorite dispensary in Maryland.
What's Up, Doc is sponsored by the Baltimore Chamber Orchestra. Baltimore's second orchestra finishes its season with Mother's Day Mozart and Friends, featuring concertmaster Audrey Wright and guest conductor Norman Wynn on Sunday, May 11th at 3 p.m. in Goucher College's Kraushar Auditorium. Visit thebco.org to buy tickets and learn more. That's thebco.org for Mother's Day Mozart and Friends on Sunday, May 11th.
Take a swing at a healthier mouth and a better-looking smile with my dental team at Catonsville Dental Care. Catonsville Dental Care is a winning team of caring dental professionals who treat you like family. You will love their clean, friendly office, where your comfort and care are their top priorities. Catonsville Dental Care has more than 2,000 five-star Google reviews and received many awards, such as Top Dentist and Top Workplace. Catonsville Dental Care accepts most insurances and offers convenient hours, before or after work, and some Saturdays, too. Mention the Jerry Special for your $149 new patient visit, or receive $500 off your Invisalign treatment. So get off the bench. Call Catonsville Dental Care today.
I'm retired now, but I was an Orioles home run. Grand slam, actually. Took a sweet ride right into the flag court, and it was awesome. Could be awesome for you, too, if you play Home Run Riches from the Maryland Lottery. You could win instantly, or be a contestant of the game and win $500 for being selected, $500 for every Orioles home run, and $5,000 for every grand slam. Sounds like a ball if you ask me. Enter all season at mdlottery.com.
At Pappas Restaurants, we've been serving up Maryland's best crab cakes for over 5 decades, and now we make it easier than ever to get your favorites. With 4 restaurants and sports bar locations across Harford County, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County, you can stop in for fresh seafood, ice-cold drinks, and wall-to-wall TVs. But if you can't make it in, don't worry. We'll bring Pappas to you. Our new state-of-the-art shipping and commissary location on Bel Air Road in Nottingham means you can pick up fresh-made meals or have our famous crab cakes and seafood shipped anywhere in the country. Dine in, pick up, or ship nationwide. However you Pappas, we've got you covered. Order now at pappascrabcakes.com. It's saving season at Lido Pizza. 99-cent refreshing iced teas for spring and summer, or $6 calzones every Tuesday. There are tons of new deals and rewards for everyone, exclusively at lidopizza.com or on the Lido Pizza app. Lido Pizza, a local legend since 1955, proud partner of the Baltimore Orioles. Everyone knows Greenmount Station in Hampstead, but did you know that at Greenmount Station you can bet 7 days a week just like you're at the track? With in-person teller windows and state-of-the-art touchscreen kiosks. And with Greenmount Station's brand new Bet Park Sportsbook, you can bet on all other sports as well, wherever you are in Maryland. Spreads, money lines, live bets, props, parlays, and teasers. The Bet Parks Maryland mobile app is now live for Apple and Android devices, so you'll never miss your next big score. Just search for Bet Parks MD in the Apple App Store or on Google Play. 21 and over only. Please play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Shop Maryland's largest adult use and medical cannabis menu located at 1114 Cathedral Street in Baltimore, with medical delivery available throughout Maryland 7 days a week. Only at Relief Shop. Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time.
Also, thanks to senior executive producer Chip Franklin for putting this latest episode together. Chip is an avid golfer. He just never keeps score. It's too embarrassing. More later. Until next time, be real, be kind, and make sure to be back next week. It's another episode of the Bmore Baseball Podcast.
Do you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal.